So this is a show that I always knew that I was going to do at some point, barring a major accident, barring me catching a terminal illness. I knew I would be one day doing a podcast talking about the death of Hulk Hogan. I assume I'll be doing another one at some point talking about the death of Vince McMahon. But these are the two names that are most synonymous with why we have professional wrestling. They are the reason together why we are doing this podcast and why you guys are watching pro wrestling still the way that you are, and with pro wrestling getting to the level that it got to, and why TKO came in at all to buy professional wrestling. The nucleus of that is Vince McMahon deciding to expand and deciding to make Hulk Hogan the face of that expansion, and it working with Hulk Hogan as the face of that expansion. That's why we have WrestleManias. That's why we had wrestling on pay-per-view. That's why the WWE or WWF at the time went global. It was because Vince McMahon had an idea and Hulk Hogan was a key part of that idea, and it worked. So for these fucking libtard morons to be on social media celebrating this when they are wrestling fans and they love wrestling, and the reason that that thing exists is because of Vince McMahon, who they already turned on, and Hulk Hogan, who, well, they already turned on also, but 10 years ago. That's absolutely ridiculous to me for them to not have a fucking day off. This is the kind of losers that we are dealing with. And it did reach a point today where I felt like to myself that I wouldn't do this show because I wasn't going to do any show ever again. But that's how they win. That's how these people end up winning, because they drive away anybody cool, anybody that's lost their virginity, anyone with friends end up moving away from this product and going on to something else. And WWE then need to milk and cater to their core, and they are the core. They are the people who watch both AEW and WWE and other shit, Japanese wrestling, all that shit. They are the ones who are obsessed with this, who cannot get away from this, who cannot think about doing anything else. And it drives away the people with any kind of cool factor, anybody that has anything going for themselves. They all gravitate towards other things like boxing, like UFC, or maybe not even a combat sport at all. Maybe not even a sport. Maybe they just decide that this isn't for them because they need to mix in with these inbred fucks. And these inbred fucks were in full force today, turning on Hulk Hogan. Obviously, there was a lot of positive tributes, and I do think that they outweighed it, but there shouldn't be this many. They shouldn't, even if you do feel this way, which you shouldn't. And why would you? I just feel that it's got to the point where you could have felt this way maybe for the first couple of months, maybe for even a year or two. But there is no reason for Hulk Hogan's final appearance in the WWE to be one where he was booed in Los Angeles. And we know that is libtard woke central when it comes to LA. We know that was probably the worst place to send out Hulk Hogan. And I even speculate to this day if that was done on purpose, with WWE knowing they had far more appropriate cities coming up to bring Hulk Hogan out into. Hulk Hogan had obviously just campaigned for Donald Trump, which was probably a large part of it. But he has been booed throughout over the last decade since he made those comments, since he was caught making those racist comments. But let's be honest. How have those comments aged? Do you think black culture has done itself any favors in the last 10 years? Do you not think black fatigue is a thing? Do you, as a listener listening to this, if you had a daughter, would you want your daughter bringing home one of these individuals when you know what the crime rate percentage is, when you know they are heavily featured in a lot of the negative videos that you see on social media? And this isn't a color thing. It wasn't a color thing when Hulk Hogan said it. It's not a color thing now when I'm saying what I'm about to say. And it's not a color thing for most people at this point. I think you're a fucking moron if you look at somebody's skin color and you decide you hate them simply because they are a darker shade than you. That is moronic. It always has been moronic. It always will be moronic. That for me is the genuine definition of what racism is. To immediately hate somebody solely based on the color of their skin. But that's not the situation that we're in now, and it's not the situation that we've been in for a long time, even dating back to when Hulk Hogan made their comments. Because whilst black fatigue is more prominent now, it didn't exactly not exist 10 years ago or even 20 years ago. It has always been a prominent part of society. And being black is really the only way that we can distinguish between who behaves a certain way and who doesn't, because that's what we have to go on. But it is not a case of simply being in a darker skin. It is a way that the culture behaves in that skin, and the skin is what makes them easily identifiable.
Nobody hates black people for being black. If there are people like that, I think that's exceedingly rare. And I don't consider myself one of them. The reason that people have negative attitudes about black people is because most people's interactions with black people are negative. Most people's interactions with black people is when you're stuck in traffic and you see a Nissan Altima speeding down the shoulder. And you say, what the fuck? You're not supposed to do that. If everybody did that, it would just be another lane, and, not everybody can do that. But it's like these people have no respect for decorum. They think the rules don't apply to them. They have no respect for society. Like, that's their interaction is they are a waiter and they wait on a black table, and the black people don't tip, and they're fucking rude. Like, that's most people's interactions. It's stuff like that. They go to the DMV, and they see a black person behind the counter, and they say, oh, here we go, and the person's rude. Now, it just goes to show people are not racist. It goes to show people don't like people that are rude. It's unpleasant. People want to be treated with consideration and respect. And it is true that black people are, in this day and age, unfortunately, seem to have very low moral character. It's not even just the violence, although the violence is pretty striking. If you live your life and you know that you're going to be mugged by black people, it kind of colors your opinion or perception of black people, wouldn't you say? If 99% of the carjackings and stabbings and shootings that you see in Chicago are by black people, when you're walking down the street late at night, guess what you're looking for? Black people.
So here we are, 10 years on from what Hulk Hogan said. Hulk Hogan has been ruthlessly booed in almost every single building that he's been in. There's been smatterings in some, or it's been the way it was when he was in LA for the Netflix preview. At the end of the day, it wasn't deserved at all, beyond maybe a couple of months, a couple of appearances here and there. He was the guy, as I said, along with Vince, who's responsible for why we have wrestling. And over the past 10 years, his comment that he made, should he have made it? No. But could you actually genuinely say, if you're being honest with yourself, whether you're black, whether you're a libtard, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're being honest with yourself, you would have to say his comment that he made has not aged badly at all. Because if you genuinely know all of these statistics and facts about this race, you cannot sit there and seriously tell me that you would be wanting and willing and would be happy with your daughter coming home with a black person. Because it's not every single one, and there is maybe 25% who are perfectly acceptable, who know how to integrate into society. Guys I'm actually friends with. I have black friends. As I said, this isn't a black thing. This isn't a color thing. I'm not white, and I'm saying the same thing here on this show that a lot of white people are saying. In fact, I've got a lot of negative things to say about my own people, about the Muslim people that are coming into Western countries and don't want to live in Muslim countries because they don't want to live under Sharia law, yet they want to implement Muslim law in the Western countries who are quite happily living and existing without this fucking bullshit coming into their countries. So I have negative things to say about my own people equally as I have negative things to say about these black people. But for what Hulk Hogan said, whether it aged badly or not, and it hasn't aged badly at all, but even if it had aged badly, and while it was 100% a mistake and something that did damage his legacy, it should not have continued 10 years on. And I would even say it's something that seriously affected Hulk Hogan mentally and physically to the point that it probably took years off his life. I think had the reaction to that had been normal and not the reaction that we saw from this fucking toxic wrestling community, then I believe that Hulk Hogan would probably still be alive today. And you could point to the steroid use and the injuries and all the things that Hulk Hogan probably suffered from and probably would have cut his life short. And yeah, he probably definitely would have died in the next 5 or 10 years anyway. But ultimately, I don't believe Hulk Hogan would have died today. He wouldn't have been under that mental stress. And it wouldn't have taken years off his life because we know that's what stress does at this point. So I don't want to waste too much time talking about what he said and talking about these fucking fans. All I know is that I'm fucking more embarrassed than I've ever been to watch this shit, to the point where I honestly felt like not doing this show, not doing any shows in the future, shutting down the Patreon and just shutting myself off from wrestling and telling my kid, hey, this shit fucking sucks. This is watched by a group of fucking losers. Let's move on to UFC. You enjoy watching the UFC. We went to the boxing at the weekend. Let's transition away from this like so many other people do. The cooler people, the people who do have lives, the people who do know what to do with their dicks, who do have friends, who do have families, who do have careers, unlike a lot of these people who watch this. And it does seem to attract the lowest form of fucking scum. And the scum really showed themselves today. And they are led by these wrestling accounts and these woke lib podcasts that kind of push this shit. The likes of your Ryan Satin, your Sean Ross Sapp, not so much your Meltzers and your Alvarez, but then you have these fucking accounts of these people that obviously grew up as friendless virgins and they're kind of pushing all the liberal woke stuff, and they're the kind of ones who don't let WWE do any kind of controversial storylines and cry and complain about everything. Every wrestler that gets fired, oh, why did they get fired? Anyone that gets accused of anything, they're guilty before they even have a case. Look at what the fuck they did to Enzo Amore. It's just fucking constant with this fucking cancel culture bullshit. And today we're seeing people split between those who are giving genuine heartfelt tributes to Hulk Hogan that he deserves because he's the guy that fucking helped create this shit. And then you have these fucking cunts, these fucking toxic cunts who are out there burying Hulk Hogan on the day that he fucking died. And that for me is absolutely ridiculous. And it's angered me to the point where, as I said, I didn't want to do this podcast and almost didn't do this podcast on time. And I feel it has damaged the podcast that I have to actually do it this way. And I'm not level-headed about it at all. Didn't give myself 24 hours to kind of cool off and didn't do the show with Cav either. And I'm kind of pissed off by Cav as well, because there has to be a point where you let your guard down and stop trying to be this fucking crowd-pleasing comedian making your fucking jokes and just realizing and being serious for a second and saying, yeah, I'm a wrestling fan and the reason I watch this is because of Hulk Hogan. And I'm genuinely upset, which surely he has to be, but I'm not going to sell it because I'm just trying to impress the 5 or 6 people that retweet my shit or give me likes on social media. The reason why Cav is not on a bigger podcast, which he deserves to be because he's one of the best podcasters out there, is because he didn't get the support of these people. These people didn't support him properly. They didn't like his stuff. They didn't retweet him. They didn't recommend it to their friends. And now he's still earning shit money for his podcast, which is what he's always earned. He might be working with Joe Feeney, which he thinks is great, but he's still earning shit money. Yeah, he's still trying to please these people. And even on a day where Hulk Hogan dies, Cav can't just fucking be somber about it. He still has to post jokey shit, which disgusts me to the point where I actually didn't even want to do the show with him in the end, even though it wasn't available to do it today. Anyway, I'm sure we could have got together at the weekend. But after seeing a couple of tweets from that Lingus account, I didn't want to do the show with him. I think he's a fucking piece of shit right now. So if we move on with what the things I have to say, I think the easiest way for me to do this would be to kind of reel off a top 10 list. And I kind of got the idea from the WWE because they had a top 10 list on their YouTube channel. And me and Austin were watching it today shortly after the news. And I really didn't agree with the list at all. You had Hogan beating Macho Man Randy Savage at number 10. And you had him winning a Royal Rumble after that, and his return to WWE, beat Triple H after that, when I think him beating Macho Man Randy Savage and becoming a two-time champion and the end of that Mega Powers feud is a hugely significant moment that I would definitely put in my top 5. So I am going to run through my top 10. I think somewhere in the archives, there is a massive Hulk Hogan show where we looked at everything that he did. We ran through it chronologically. If guys can track that down, then let me know, because I would like to track it down myself. Obviously, we all know the chronological order of Hulk Hogan's career, so there is really no point running through it. Obviously, Vince McMahon wanted to make him the face of the company. His dad didn't. His dad previously fired him for doing a Rocky movie, but he did bring him in. And Hulk Hogan went on to headline 8 of the first 9 WrestleManias. The only one he didn't headline was 4, which was headlined by Savage winning the tournament against DiBiase, but Hogan was involved in that as well. Hogan wasn't really supposed to headline WrestleMania 9, but we know he came in after Bret Hart lost to Yokozuna. Wasn't involved with 10, didn't return again until 18, where he faced The Rock. During that time, he went to WCW, and as a result of Hogan going there, WCW took over the WWE, won for 83 weeks in a row, courtesy of Hogan turning heel and joining the NWO. Hogan then came back to WWE, obviously had that match with The Rock, went on to win the championship. It was short-lived, though. There was a dispute about how Hulk Hogan wanted things to be booked with Brock Lesnar. They set up the rematch with Hogan and Brock by Brock taking Hogan off TV. Hogan wanted to return at MSG and beat Brock Lesnar, but WWE wanted him to return and simply to lose to Brock Lesnar again, and that's where they fell out. Hogan was back on WWE TV by 2003 to work with Vince McMahon, but shortly went away after that, after the Captain America thing. And then we fast forward to 2005, where he ended up working with Shawn Michaels. Again, there were political issues there with Hogan and the WWE unable to, and Michaels unable to agree to how they wanted to go. The WWE wanted 2 matches, which they wanted to split. Hogan was fine doing 2 matches as long as he won both. In the end, WWE pitched him 3, with Hogan winning 2-1. And Hogan, in the end, just wanted to do 1 single match and ended up beating HBK at SummerSlam 2005, where HBK ended up overselling through the match. They brought Hogan back in again the next summer, which was his last match in the WWE, where he ended up beating Randy Orton, and that was all done to promote Hogan Knows Best and his daughter's music career. Hogan then went on to TNA, which didn't really work. He was involved in running the company along with Dixie Carter. And after that, Hogan returned in an ambassadorial role with the WWE in around about 2014, and then was let go after the whole racism scandal, and made sporadic appearances after that, and was booed, sometimes, as I said, by sections, and sometimes by the vast majority, like he was by those cunts in Los Angeles. So that brings you up to speed, and at this juncture, we will run through those top 10 moments. So Hulk Hogan won back-to-back Royal Rumbles in 1990 and 91. I've gone with 1990 as my clip there. He obviously was the WWF champion going into this, went on to face the Warrior. Within that Rumble, he had a huge moment with the Warrior, which set up WrestleMania 6, which is why I picked it. Because not only did Hulk Hogan get the win in this 1990 Royal Rumble, but you set up that babyface versus babyface main event versus the Ultimate Warrior, which was a huge match for everybody growing up. There were guys that were Warrior fans. There were guys that were Hogan fans. I was actually probably more of a Warrior fan when I actually came into wrestling, but in the end grew into a bigger fan of Hulk Hogan based on everything that he did and Warrior's inability to keep a job with a company. So that's why I've gone for the 1990 Royal Rumble there in the number 10 slot. So at number 9, I've gone for when he won the championship in 2002. That was a full circle moment for the return, and it was because Hulk Hogan was so over in Canada at WrestleMania 18. Should have been the main event, overshadowed The Rock in that match. I think WWE anticipated that it would be 50-50, but I don't think they believed that Hogan would be that over. Obviously, him leaving the NWO and turning babyface was planned, but he was so over and was selling so much merchandise, and the return was going so well, and the crowd reactions were so ridiculous, especially in Montreal. If you go back and watch the episode of SmackDown where WWE went to Montreal, you'll see how over Hogan was, and they decided to pull the trigger, strike while the iron was hot, and to give him the championship. And that was a testament to how over Hulk Hogan was coming back to the WWE in 2002, that he got to beat Triple H, who had only been champion for a month at that point and had actually main evented WrestleMania 18 in a very lackluster main event with Chris Jericho, and Hogan beat him a month later to cement Hulkamania being back. Hogan himself also only had it for a month, which is why this isn't higher in the chart. So at number 8, I've gone for that first WCW title win. Going over to WCW, restarting your career there. A massive move, a massive step in the right direction for WCW to actually challenge the WWE and say, we are going to be a serious competitor. And it doesn't get more serious than signing Hulk Hogan and also finally doing that Flair Hogan match. WWE did it off TV, but didn't do it at WrestleMania 8. WCW pulled the trigger and did it on a pay-per-view at Bash at the Beach. And Hulk Hogan ended up winning the championship from Ric Flair. And that was a huge Hogan moment. It comes in for me at number 8.
History once again
So coming in at 7 is Hogan winning the championship at WrestleMania 7. That was the culmination of, well, not the culmination because they did carry it on afterwards. They tried to get one more major match out of it at SummerSlam as the Triangle of Terror took on Warrior and Hogan. But it was the culmination of the WWE using the Iraqi US war, the Gulf War, as a storyline on TV. I thought this was really, really good TV. Obviously, it offended some people. Obviously, it was a very controversial route to go down. But if you were going to go down that route, you were obviously going to draw in a lot of people. It was obviously going to get a lot of people emotional and get them to emotionally invest. And at the same time, it was going to turn off some people. But I was on the side of it where I think I would have been emotionally invested had I known about the war and whatnot at the time. I was obviously too young, but looking back on it, I think it was a really interesting direction to go in. You needed an opponent for Hogan. You didn't want to do Warrior Hogan again. I don't know why, because I think there would have been a lot of interest in that, but WWE were very adamant to get the belt off Warrior and have Hogan beat a heel in the main event rather than getting his win back off Warrior. Hogan, of course, got that win back from Warrior in the end in WCW in a horrible match in 1998. And by speaking about Hogan and Warrior, we have perfectly transitioned into the next pick.
Look at the hushed silence going over the crowd. They don't know what the Hulkster's going to do, and neither do I. Oh, look at this. Hulk presented the belt and raised the hand of the Warrior. The Hulkster has just taken one giant step towards immortality. Well, I gotta say this. At least it wasn't a Mike Tyson, Don King type affair. The man lost it, and he's going out like a true champion, Monsoon. Unbelievable Hulkster and unbelievable Warrior.
Yeah, number 6, it's Hulk Hogan handing the championship to the Warrior. A moment where Hogan said he knew the Warrior wasn't going to work as champion because people were more interested in watching him leave than they were in watching Warrior in the ring. I'm not sure how much of that is actually true. That became synonymous with Hulk Hogan after he retired from wrestling. He did a lot of interviews where he told a lot of stories that seemed to be bending the truth or were not true at all, increasing André the Giant's weight, frequently increasing attendances, saying he was in places where he wasn't. And on this occasion, he said that he wanted to turn heel on the Warrior, but Vince McMahon didn't allow it. But ultimately, this is a very, very memorable moment. And it was where Hulk Hogan solidified himself as a good loser in this moment. And it was supposed to be a passing the torch moment, but it didn't end up being that at all.
If he hits this gorilla, it's over. Hulkamania will die right here. Savage punched up there in the elbow. He got it. He nailed him. He got it. Cover and match. 1, 2, no. The Hulkster's out of there. I don't believe this. And adrenaline is starting to flow. This place is going.
So at 5, we have the Mega Powers exploding. This was the conclusion of what was probably the best storyline of Hogan's career, teaming up with Randy Savage and slowly across the span of 12 months, breaking up and parting ways with Savage. Savage beginning to get jealous of Hogan's relationship with Elizabeth. I think when you watch this back now, I think older men can understand what Savage's issue was with Hogan. And you could almost see Hogan as the bad guy in this situation. And obviously with these woke liberal tards, they'll take things too seriously and they'll say, well, we all found out that Hogan was the bad guy and Savage was the good guy, and just take things far too seriously. But as a red-blooded male, if you actually have a wife or a girlfriend or whatever, you can see how maybe Savage was in the right. I saw CM Punk make that point on a documentary once. But this was probably the best storyline of Hogan's career, other than probably the NWO. But that obviously wasn't just centered solely around Hulk Hogan. But it's difficult for me not to have put this in my top 5. I was very surprised that WWE had it at number 10. I thought this was far more significant, as it was the culmination of some of Hogan's best work with the Macho Man across the year, getting us from WrestleMania 4 to WrestleMania 5.
Right now, he is poised, he is coiled. The rock bottom on Hogan. The hook of the leg. And this is hip tap. Hogan kicked out. The rock bottom. And all he thinks with the right. Is he going to hook him there? He is. Rock cannot believe it. Oh my God. What you going to do, Rock? My God, the Rock can't believe it. What you going to do? And Hogan smiles to the right hand. Hogan sent the Rock for the Rock. The end could be near for the Rock at WrestleMania 18. He beat André the Giant with that move. That was against him. Oh my God. My God, the Rock kicked out. The leg drop. And Hogan, much like the Rock earlier, cannot believe it.
So at number 4, I've gone for Rock Hogan from WrestleMania 18, but I've pointed out that specific moment where Hogan hulked up, hit the big boot in the leg, and the crowd genuinely bought in to that near fall. They genuinely thought their hero was going to come back to Toronto and beat The Rock in the middle of the ring clean, a heel with a babyface finish. It wasn't to be, but it was an incredible moment. It's never been louder, I don't think, in a stadium at WrestleMania. Maybe the only time I could think of that it was louder was WrestleMania 40 when Taker suddenly appeared to help Cody, but I still think this was louder, and I still think it's a bigger moment overall. And that's my number 4, Rock Hogan from WrestleMania 18.
He's starting to shake. He's got to reach down inside for that little something extra. Look at, he's powering his way up. He's made it to its knees. That takes the effect away from the hole. Hulk Hogan now stands up with a shake and rams into the top turnbuckle. Fans are going wild, and I'm so excited. I don't even want to talk. I want to watch the match. Keep going up. Hulk Hogan, he drops the big leg on him. He's down for the cover. Hook the leg. 1, 2. He got him. We have a new champion as Hulk Hogan lowers the boom on the Iron Sheik.
So at number 3, I've gone for that first title win, the birth of Hulkamania, and beating the Iron Sheik at Madison Square Garden on it says January 23rd here, but I've read it's January 24th as well, but it's 1984. Need to look up exactly what that was. WWE have gone with 23rd. I've heard Hulk Hogan say 24th. I've always believed it was the 24th because that's my son's birthday. But either way, it's Hogan beating the Iron Sheik and starting off Hulkamania with that first title win, which would go on to be the longest title run of the modern era. Roman Reigns wasn't able to beat that run, and this run ended on Saturday night's main event in front of a record audience where he was beaten by André the Giant. And of course, we know that was the finish where they had the twin come in. The twin referee, Earl Hebner's twin brother, came in for the finish. One of the best finishes we've ever seen, but it needed to be to get the belt off Hulk Hogan. In the end, that led to a tournament because André the Giant sold the belt to Ted DiBiase after ending Hulk Hogan's 1,474-day reign as champion that began here at Madison Square Garden with this win over the Iron Sheik, and then he dropped it on Saturday night's main event in front of 33 million viewers. That's still a viewership record, a 15.2 via the Nielsen TV ratings as well, a record that will never be broken, I don't believe, and it belongs to Hulk Hogan. So we now move over to our top two. I think you guys all know what these two are going to be. I'm going to play them collectively for you, but to run down from 10 to 1 again at 10. And first of all, let me say, these are all in-ring moments. I've not gone for the Hall of Fame like the WWE have, because obviously the Hall of Fame could easily be slotted in here somewhere. I would say it'd probably be 4 or 5, and everything would move down, and therefore this Royal Rumble win at number 10 would be ousted, which obviously helped set up the match with the Ultimate Warrior. So this isn't just about the win. This is also about setting up the match moving forward, where Hulk Hogan would go on to face the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6. This obviously charts later on as well, but I've decided to go for this as the moment at 10. Number 9, I've gone for his comeback win, his comeback title win in 2002. I was actually tempted to put the WrestleMania 9 finish here because it's so talked about, but it's infamous as well, so I'm not sure if it actually belongs in Hulk Hogan's top 10 moments because it's so debated. A lot of people don't like Hulk Hogan because of that moment, so that didn't get in. But this was pretty unanimously popular when Hogan beat Triple H a month after WrestleMania 18. Hogan beating Flair in WCW at number 8. Hogan beating Slaughter at the conclusion of WrestleMania 7 is 7. Hogan handing the championship to Warrior is 6. Hogan Macho Man, the end of the Mega Powers exploding at WrestleMania 5, a year-long storyline culminating at WrestleMania 5. At number 4, you have Hogan and The Rock. Whatever moment you want to pick, I've got Hogan almost beating The Rock. At number 3, you have Hulk Hogan's first title wins, launching Hulkamania in 1984, January 1984, by beating the Iron Sheik.
Hulk Hogan arrived. What is he doing? God, is he the third man? He's the third man. What the hell is going on here? Hulk Hogan has betrayed WCW. He is the third man. Look at this picture. Oh my God. What the hell is going on? Oh my God. Look at this. He's signed it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Dropping a big leg. Order for the cover. It's over.
So 1 and 2 really easy. The order was debatable, but whatever way you look at it, Hulk Hogan has the 2 biggest moments in the history of wrestling. Number 1 and number 2, whatever order you want to put those 2 in, is the number 1 moment for WCW ever, Hogan turning heel, and the number 1 WWE moment is Hogan slamming André the Giant. It's the number 1 WrestleMania moment ahead of Brock Lesnar breaking the streak for me. Obviously, there have been some other moments that come into the conversation in recent years, like Cody winning the championship, but I don't think that aged as well, and I don't think for me it was ever going to be number 1. We know that Hogan was the face of the company. We know Hulkamania continued after this. We know it was a passing the torch moment. We know there was 93,000 people there at the Pontiac Silverdome. It was the biggest moment in the history of wrestling. And that heel turn as well, it transformed WCW. WCW went on to lead the Monday Night Wars from that point and never looked back. under Hulk Hogan being involved with the NWO. Recently, we had the John Cena heel turn, and it was debated which is better, which is better. Sometimes age will answer that question, and I wasn't in sync with people that were saying John Cena at that point in time anyway. And obviously, with how it panned out, it's definitely not the John Cena heel turn now, but it never was, and nothing will ever compare to Hulk Hogan turning heel. To understand the magnitude of Hulk Hogan turning heel at that time, you needed to understand what Hulk Hogan represented. Yes, there was a steroid scandal, and yes, Hulk Hogan's name was a little bit dirtier than it should have been and had been dragged through the mud. But ultimately, it was still Hulk Hogan. It was still somebody who had been a babyface since 1984, telling you to train, say your prayers, take your vitamins. Hulk Hogan was supposed to be and was the ultimate role model. Other than that one blip with that steroid scandal and going on to Arsenio Hall, Hulk Hogan was the ultimate role model from the 80s, and he carried that into the 90s. WCW wanted some of that Hulk Hogan rub, but the fans were not responding to Hulk Hogan in the same way. And we saw a little bit of that towards the end of his WWE run in 1991. It was more prominent that there were some boos creeping in, and the fans wanted to see something different. They were tired of the act, but that act did run for 7 years. It ran hard for 7 years at that point. And with the steroid scandal coming up, and with WWE trying to get away from these big steroid bodies, it was time to park Hulk Hogan for a little bit, although he did return in 1993 and was immediately restored at the top with the WWE Championship, because WWE realized that it was very, very difficult to draw fans without that Hulk Hogan name attached to them. And Vegas as well. Vegas themselves, who had WrestleMania 9, got involved, and they were begging for Hulk Hogan to be a part of that Vegas WrestleMania. We've learned that from the WrestleMania 9 documentary. So they were heavily involved in wanting Hogan to be there. Originally it was supposed to be a tag match, but in the end we saw him leaving with the championship after Bret Hart lost to Yokozuna. So it's very, very hard to explain how fucking big and unexpected and shocking that Hogan heel turn was. But the Andre moment is still the biggest WrestleMania moment, and it won't be topped. And given that that actually happened within WWE, I've given that the nudge as the number one moment. But Hogan's top two moments, as I said, as I'll reiterate, they are the top two moments in wrestling of all time, which says it all about Hulk Hogan, which says why he is the GOAT. And there is that debate between Austin and Hogan, or at least there is for most people with common sense. They're the two that people debate, because Hulk Hogan made wrestling, and Hulk Hogan was the one responsible, along with Vince McMahon, for taking WWE and taking wrestling worldwide and making it the force that it was. But when it was on that down period, when it started to go down and people were losing interest, Stone Cold Steve Austin took it off the life support machine. Stone Cold Steve Austin woke it up, began walking, and then suddenly began running harder than Hulk Hogan even could when it came to merchandise sales, when it came to ticket sales, when it came to pay-per-view money. Stone Cold Steve Austin managed to eclipse Hulk Hogan, but only for a very, very short period of time. Don't forget, Stone Cold Steve Austin only ran between 98 and 2002 and missed most of the year 2000 through injury as well. I know Austin was there in 96 and 97, but he only started to get hot in 97, was only the face of the company in 98. So between 98 and 2002 was Hulk Hogan's period as the face of the company, whilst Hogan was the face between 84 and 1991. And as I said, put the WWE on the map. And for me, has the two biggest moments in wrestling, way, way ahead of the Austin 316 promo, which did not do as much for Steve Austin as they tell you it did. There were no Austin 316 signs there the next day. In reality, there was maybe one or two. There wasn't immediate plans for an Austin 316 t-shirt. That is revisionist history. Whilst Hogan's slam and the attendance, unless you believe what Dave Meltzer says, but I'm going to go with what WWE said, the attendance and the very fact that WWE even tried to put 93,000 people into the Pontiac Silverdome in Detroit. Tells you how huge Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania were. Of course, Hulk Hogan was also a large part of WrestleMania beginning at all when he teamed up with Mr. T. We haven't really spoke too much about that. We didn't even put that in our top 10 moments, which kind of tells you a lot about how massive Hulk Hogan was and how incredible his career was. We were probably short of WCW moments there as well. We didn't have any moments there from TNA. TNA, of course, hired Hulk Hogan to compete with the WWE. But ultimately, this is the number one guy. This is the GOAT. There can be no one else in this conversation other than Stone Cold Steve Austin. But for me, I love both of them. And for me, Hogan gets the nod. And what I find incredible is largely, I think, down to the race controversy. People now won't even put Hulk Hogan on their Rushmore. They've got these fucking idiots out there who are making these Rushmores, making their top four, their Mount Rushmore list. And a lot of these people who are supposed to be hardcore wrestling fans do not put Hulk Hogan on there. If you don't have Hulk Hogan on your Mount Rushmore, then I cannot take you seriously for any wrestling conversation whatsoever. He's either number one or number two. I'll listen to your argument about why he's number two. If you want to go down that route and say he wasn't a very good wrestler, then that's a different fucking list. That's your best wrestler list. That's Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and whatever other two, Kurt Angle, whoever you want to put on there. That's a different list. We're talking about overall. We're talking about wrestling, but we're also talking about attendance. We're also talking about buy rates. We're also talking about what he did for the sport. We're also talking about how many people don't watch wrestling or aren't big fans of wrestling or are casual fans of wrestling, but know who Hulk Hogan is. I would say of the 8 billion people walking around this world, 6 billion of them will know who Hulk Hogan is. And half of those will know today. 4 billion people, half of this planet will be aware of the fact that Hulk Hogan died today. That's how fucking big he is. You can't say the same about your Bret Harts or your Shawn Michaels or even your Undertakers or even Ric Flair, who's a massive name. You can only really say this about two people, Hulk Hogan and The Rock. Both of them, I think, when you talking about household names, are significantly bigger than Steve Austin. But it does not take away from Steve Austin's legacy and what he did in wrestling, because I don't know if it's harder to be the one who's at the forefront of wrestling getting big or reviving it after it's dead. That for me will forever be the debate. Was it more incredible that wrestling ever became a huge thing under Hulk Hogan, obviously led by Vince McMahon, or that Vince McMahon was able to revive it with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the face of the Attitude Era? For me, there's no comparison between watching the two eras. If you want to whack something on now on TV, you would probably lean towards the Attitude Era, but there was nothing like watching the WWF when you were growing up. And that only happened because of Hulk Hogan. It only went worldwide because of Hulk Hogan. And that coincided with the widespread availability of action figures, video games, VHS distribution. All of this happened because Vince McMahon had a vision, and the face of that vision was Hulk Hogan. So very, very sad day for real wrestling fans, not these stupid libtard cunts on social media. Real wrestling fans who grew up as a wrestling fan, they will be sad. You should be sad. The GOAT is dead. He's died at 71 years of age. This was obviously reported by Bubba the Love Sponge for a number of weeks, and he got a lot of heat for that, for reporting or predicting the upcoming death of somebody. But in the end, he ended up being right. Should it have been done that way? I'm not so sure. I don't really have a massive opinion on it. I just really wanted to know what's going on. And today, unfortunately, we ended up finding out. It was very upsetting. For me and my son had very, very positive experiences with Hulk Hogan. That's one thing I'll finish off by saying. When you meet Hulk Hogan, It's how it should be when you meet a wrestler. It's how it should be when you meet anybody who's a hero of yours. They say don't meet your heroes because they'll let you down. Hulk Hogan never did. Hulk Hogan knew exactly how to conduct himself at a meet and greet. He knew what it meant to people. He knew what he meant to people. And he was a shining example of how a WWF superstar, WWE superstar should conduct themselves in a meet and greet situation. If you are going to align with fanatics like TKO have, and you're going to charge a fucking fortune for it, then you need to look at Hulk Hogan as an example. You cannot act like an absolute prick like CM Punk does. The difference between a CM Punk and a Hulk Hogan at a meet and greet are absolutely night and day. With Hulk Hogan, it was always a 100% positive experience. He gave you your money's worth. He acted interested in you. He engaged with you. He didn't care how big the line was. You ended up getting your 20 to 30 seconds with Hulk Hogan every time. Beautiful signature every time. And I think that's pretty much all I can say at this point about Hulk Hogan. I'll see if I can get together with somebody else during this week and talk more about it. As for how wrestling moves forward, I'm very, very interested in the tributes tomorrow night on SmackDown. In my opinion, there shouldn't even be a SmackDown. SmackDown shouldn't be happening. This show should be cancelled. They should be running a Hulk Hogan tribute show. They should return on Monday with a 10-bell salute. And they should have a non-storyline show on Monday Night Raw. And I'm saying this as someone who has a ticket for SummerSlam. Obviously, I should be invested in the build-up for SummerSlam, and it should be as good as possible. But they've had a number of weeks to do that. And we have another subpar build for a major pay-per-view. We had the same thing for going into WrestleMania 41. And I don't think this SummerSlam build has been anything special. But I would definitely park that and put it on one side for Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan deserves it. There shouldn't be a SmackDown tomorrow, in my opinion. And the show should be fully dedicated to the career and the life of Hulk Hogan. That's it for me and this edition of The Dirty Sheets. I do now have a wrestling account that you can engage with me on. So if you want to talk wrestling with me, the account handle is at Wrestling MW. That's at Wrestling and the letters M and W, which stand for Most Wanted, Wrestling Most Wanted. And that could be a prelude to something that I do in the future, because I am talking to a couple of people. One person to possibly produce a potential future show, and one person to potentially do a future show with. So if you want to tweet about wrestling with me, if you want to go back and forth, want to get my wrestling opinions, again, I'm not going to do it via the soccer account. I'm going to do it via the wrestling account. So that's at Wrestling MW is where you can find me on X if you want to engage with some wrestling talk. Until the next episode of The Dirty Sheets, which I don't know when that will be. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Hulk Hogan.
So much has been said, written, and talked about. So many unexpected occurrences have happened over the past couple of weeks.
The day comes. Bash at the Beach pay-per-view, July of '96. I was not 100% sure that Hulk was going to follow through.
At 5:30, we still didn't know if he was in or out.
You know, we're doing this Who's the Third Man thing, this big angle to Bash the Beach. We're going to launch the NWO. Now we go to the ring. Hulk is still not there. And we still don't know if Hulk agrees or not, because in his contract, he has approval over what his character does. And he's been a hero to millions his whole career. We're looking at Bishop going, "What's up?" And he goes, "Well, listen, if it's not Hulk, we're going to send Sting." All due respect to Sting, it wouldn't have worked.
WCW picks their top three, and it's Lex Luger, Sting, and the Macho Man.
3 against 2, the way I like it.
I'll tell you what, I'm still seeing that bad intentions going on.
Yeah,
this whole hand has not been dealt. The hand has not been dealt, brother.
It's just Hall and Nash. There's no third person. the commentary team is trying to sell this as what's going on? Where is this third person? Is the third person even in the match? You know, who is this third person?
They have said the third man is here, but he is not in the ring.
As the WCW team starts to get the better a little bit of Hall and Nash, Hulk Hogan comes out.
Hulk Hogan is here! Hulk Hogan's here! Hulk Hogan is in the building! You're damn right he is! Go get him, Hulkster!
It was just crazy when I came out. I wanted that natural reaction from the fans. How could our hero stab us in the heart?
I could feel the audience. Here comes their hero. Everybody was certain he was there to defend the honor of WCW. And then, the leg drop.
What is he doing? My God! Is he the third man? He's the third man! What the hell is going on here? He is the third man! Look at this picture! Oh my God! What the hell is going on? Oh my God! Are you kidding me? Unbelievable, brother.
I remember Scott looking at him going, whatever you do, man, make sure the referee counts 3. And the first thing he does is picks up the referee and throws him out of the ring. And Scott has to do the count. If you look back at it, there's never a count at the match of like us actually beating them. And that's, I mean, those little details are priceless.
See those little Hulksters with the tears rolling down their face right now? A career of a lifetime. It's right down the drain, kid.
It was such an abrupt change of energy.
Incredible. What a show.
Everyone is shocked, Tony. Look at the ring.
The most incredible scene. Ladies, I don't know where we're going.
He has slept with the devil.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've just completely lost with this audience. This is the worst idea in the history of ideas. I'm gonna burn in wrestling hell for this.
There you go. That's right.
I never thought I'd see people throwing debris
At Hulk Hogan.
This was not supposed to happen. Huh. Heard that before, right? Not supposed to happen.
Mean Gene, the first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I gotta say.
Well, when I was in the ring, cutting the promo with Scott and Kev and Mean Gene, and they started throwing the stuff, I felt the building rumbling. I said, oh man, we might have a riot in here.
I don't want to downplay the fact that I'm really, really, really relieved. Because I was not 100% sure that Hulk was going to follow through. But once he got to the building and we talked, I knew, okay, it's on.
Well, the first thing you gotta realize, brother, is this right here is the future of wrestling. You can call this the new world order of wrestling, brother. These two men right here came from a great big organization up north. And everybody was wondering who the third man was. Well, who knows more about that organization than me, brother? Well, let me tell you something. I made that organization a monster. I made people rich up there. I made the people that ran that organization rich up there, brother. And when it all came to pass, the name Hulk Hogan, the man Hulk Hogan, got bigger than the whole organization, brother. And then billionaire Ted, amigo, he wanted to talk turkey with Hulk Hogan. Well, billionaire Ted promised me movies, brother. Billionaire Ted promised me millions of dollars. And billionaire Ted promised me world caliber matches. And as far as billionaire Ted goes, Eric Bischoff and the whole WCW goes, I'm bored, brother. That's why these two guys here, the so-called outsiders, these are the men I want as my friends. They're the new blood of professional wrestling, brother. And not only are we going to take over the whole wrestling business with Hulk Hogan and the new blood, the monsters with me, we will destroy everything in our path, Mean Gene. For 2 years, brother, for 2 years, I held my head high. I did everything for the charities. I did everything for the kids. And the reception I got when I came out here, you fans can stick it, brother. Because if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, you people wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff would be still selling meat from a truck in Minneapolis. And if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, all these Johnny-come-latelys that you see out here, wrestling wouldn't be here. I was selling out the world, brother, while they were bumming gas to put in their car to get to high school. So the way it is now, brother, with Hulk Hogan and the New World Organization of Wrestling, brother, me and the new blood by my side, what you gonna do when the New World Organization runs wild on you?